What will it take? What will it take for the UK demolition industry to accept its responsibilities? What will it take for the sector to address the accidents, the fatalities, and the corruption? What will it take for the industry to quit resting on its laurels and make the positive changes required to be competitive and relevant in the 21st century? What will it take? You might think that the worst and most deadly accident in the industry's living memory might prompt some self analysis, that the loss of 4 lives in a single tragic accident might be a perfect excuse for some much needed introspection. You might also think that a 9.5 year investigation that remains ongoing might be cause for a reconsideration of both health and safety and with those that police it. You might think all of those things, but you'd be wrong. Instead of taking a long, hard look at itself in the mirror, the UK demolition industry has hidden behind the inadequacies of others, refusing to comment until the Thames Valley Police has completed its investigation into the Didcot disaster, refusing to take any action until the Health and Safety Executive has its say on those long overdue findings. And all the while the industry prevaricates, working men continue to perish. At Longannet, at Redcar, at countless other places up and down the country, the names of which now live in infamy within demolition circles. You might think that having its corrupt and dark underbelly laid bare for all to see might have brought about change. That the handing down of more than £60 million in fines to some of the biggest and best known names in the industry might provoke a step back and a pause. You might think that a series of director bans in the aftermath of the Competition and Markets Authority investigation into corruption and collusion might set the industry on a new and more transparent course. That the fact that all 10 guilty companies were part of the same trade body might make some question the validity of their elite status claims. You might also think that having been caught with their fingers in the cookie jar, those guilty companies might find themselves isolated, ejected from tender lists, banished to the industry naughty step. You might think all of those things, but you'd be wrong. With one or two notable exceptions, the companies found guilty for their part in the corruption ring have largely prospered since. And in the place of sanctions, the trade body of which all 10 companies were a member reached for a broom and chose to instead swoop the whole sorry business under the nearest rug. You might think that the existential threat from the environmental lobby and the embodied carbon campaigners might have forced a reaction. You might have thought that the removal of the subsidy on red diesel might have caused outrage and outcry. You might have thought that the imposition of increasingly stringent carbon reduction measures might have brought the industry together to fight back or at least delay changes that threaten the very nature of the industry. You might think all of those things, but you'd be wrong. When the environmental lobby urged government to make demolition a last resort, the industry rolled over like a puppy that's been beaten once too often. When the Treasury came for its red diesel subsidy, the industry barely raised a whimper. Even now, as the sector is being pushed inexorably towards the adoption of electric and hydrogen equipment, together with their respective challenges and collective unknowns, the industry is sticking its bottom in the air and saying, do your worst. You might think that the slow and debilitating exodus of some of the industry's most experienced workers would set off alarm bells, that the industry's apparent inability to attract and retain new workers to replace them would cause a large red flag to be unfurled. You might think that by now someone would have spotted the gulf between card carrying and competent and introduced a form of training that is more in keeping with the demands of sites rather than regulators and their classrooms. You might think that a suicide rate that is almost 4 times the national average might justify a complete overhaul of working practices, that an industry wide mental health crisis might be the straw that broke the camel's back, might be the line in the sand, the tipping point. You might think all of those things, but once again, you'd be wrong. The industry has made no significant changes to its recruitment policies in decades. Any changes it has made to training and competence card schemes has been largely in the form of price increases. Even though every mental health practitioner in the world will tell you that men are notoriously bad at opening up to each other, we've decided that the solution to the mental health crisis is to make some of those men mental health first aiders because apparently thousands of years of macho evolution can be undone by a job title and a name badge. And all the while, working practices remain unaltered. Every project is a race against the clock. Every worker is constantly under the cosh. Mental health awareness meetings end so that workers can be reminded of the pressures of the project. Regardless of the challenge and regardless of the need to change, the UK demolition industry is set to business as usual by default. There is no straying from the well trodden path, no exploration of potentially better routes and alternatives. Whether it's accidents and suicides, or a mass exodus from the industry, or a switch from demolition to refurbishment, the answer is always, always the same. Keep doing what we've always done. That head in the sand approach might have been okay in the past, but it's no longer fit for the rigours, challenges, and scrutiny of the 21st century. So, what will it take? What will it take for the UK demolition industry to accept its responsibilities? What will it take for the sector to address the accidents, the fatalities, and the corruption? What will it take for the industry to quit resting on its laurels and make the positive changes required to be competitive and relevant in the 21st century? What will it take?